Look down at your feet for a second. Whatever you're wearing on them right now, sneakers, sandals, slippers, or nothing at all, there's a story beneath them that goes back much further than most people realize. Not just a few hundred years, not a few thousand. The story of why humans started covering their feet is at least 100,000 years old, and the reason it began has almost nothing to do with fashion. It has everything to do with survival. Here's something most people never think about. The human foot is remarkable. It's one of the most complex structures in the body: 26 bones, 33 joints, and over 100 muscles, tendons, and ligaments, all working together in a system so precise that engineers still can't fully replicate it. For millions of years, that foot walked barefoot across every kind of terrain on Earth: hot sand, sharp rock, frozen ground, dense forest, and it handled it. The human foot was built for exactly that. So why did ancient humans start covering it? The answer isn't simple, and it didn't happen all at once. It happened the same way most ancient human innovations happened: through observation, through pain, and through one person noticing something everyone else had ignored. The first clue comes from bones. In 2008, researchers studying ancient human skeletons noticed something strange about foot bones from roughly 40,000 years ago. Before then, ancient human toe bones were thick and robust, built for the constant gripping and pushing that barefoot walking requires. After that point, the smaller toe bones began getting thinner and weaker. Not the big toe, just the smaller ones. And there's only one explanation that fits. People stopped using those toes to grip the ground because something else was doing that job for them. That something was a shoe, or at least the ancient equivalent of one. But here's where the story gets more interesting, because the first foot coverings weren't invented in a freezing climate, which is what most people assume. The oldest direct evidence of sandals comes from Arnold Research Cave in Missouri. Woven from plant fibers, they date back approximately 8,000 years. And Missouri wasn't a frozen wilderness. It was temperate, sometimes warm, which means the first reason humans started covering their feet wasn't cold. It was something else entirely. The most likely answer is terrain: sharp volcanic rock, thorn-covered ground, hot sand capable of burning skin within minutes, coral and broken shells along coastlines. Some landscapes don't just make barefoot walking uncomfortable, they make it dangerous. A deep cut on the bottom of your foot, in a world before antibiotics, wasn't a minor inconvenience. It could become fatal within days. Ancient humans who learned to protect their feet in those environments had a clear survival advantage over those who didn't. And the solution they came up with, a flat piece of material tied beneath the foot, was so simple and effective that it appeared in different forms across nearly every human culture on Earth. Not because one person invented it and taught everyone else, but because the problem was universal. And when the same problem exists everywhere, people everywhere eventually discover the same answer. But terrain wasn't the only challenge. As ancient humans spent more time crossing deserts, volcanic regions, and exposed landscapes, they encountered something their bare feet simply weren't built to withstand for long: temperature. The ground in a desert at midday can reach temperatures above 150 degrees Fahrenheit. That's not uncomfortable, that's damaging. Skin burns, blisters form. Walking becomes impossible within minutes. Ancient humans moving through these landscapes needed protection not from the cold, but from the intense heat rising beneath every step. The solution was the same one that had worked against sharp terrain: a barrier between the foot and the ground. Simple in idea, harder in practice. The first sandals weren't made from leather or rubber, they were made from whatever the landscape provided: woven grass, strips of bark, or layers of leaves tied together. Materials that were light, flexible, and easy to replace. And here's what makes the story even more surprising. The oldest leather shoe ever discovered, preserved in an Armenian cave for about 5,500 years, was made with such precision that researchers first believed it was far more recent. The leather had been carefully tanned, the laces were still intact. The craftsmanship revealed generations of knowledge behind it. That shoe wasn't a first attempt. It was the product of a tradition that had already existed for a very long time. Most ancient materials don't survive. Woven grass rots, bark crumbles, leaves disappear. The evidence vanishes. But the changes preserved in ancient foot bones, together with the rare footwear that has survived, reveal a story of a practice that was already well established, long before anyone thought to preserve an example of it. Sandals also changed how humans moved, not just where they could go, but how far. Researchers studying traditional long-distance walkers have found that protecting the feet greatly increases the distance a person can comfortably travel in a single day. Blisters, cuts, and bruises build up over long journeys, eventually slowing a traveler down or stopping them altogether. Foot protection removed much of that limitation. Ancient trade routes, the long, demanding paths that connected distant communities across deserts and mountain ranges, became far more practical once reliable footwear existed. The sandal didn't just protect the foot, it expanded the world ancient humans could reach. And then there was the social dimension, because in almost every ancient culture that developed foot coverings, they quickly became more than just protection. They became symbols. In ancient Egypt, sandals marked status. Ordinary workers often went barefoot, while officials and priests wore sandals as a sign of rank. In ancient Rome, the style of sandals someone wore could reveal their place in society at a glance. In ancient Mesopotamia, removing your sandals before another person was a gesture of respect and submission. A simple piece of woven grass tied beneath a foot became, in the hands of civilization, one of the earliest symbols of identity and status. Think about that the next time you choose what to wear on your feet. That simple decision, shoes or no shoes, this pair or that one, carries thousands of years of history that most people never think about. What you wear on your feet has been saying something about who you are since long before writing existed to say anything at all. The first sandal may have been made by someone who stepped on something sharp and, in that moment of pain, decided there had to be a better way. They looked around, tied something beneath their foot, took a careful step, and felt something change. Not just beneath their feet, but in what was possible.